How are you guys doing? Today is Thursday, December 8th, 2022. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I am going to review yesterday's Elite matchups and performances from Wednesday, December 7th, and I am going to preview what's going on today, not to mention what's going on tomorrow in the FIFA World Cup, because those games start at 10 a.m. Taking a quick step back and looking at where we are in the calendar year of sports, there are 8 teams left in the 2022 hunt for the World Cup title. By the end of tomorrow, there will be 6 teams left, as 2 teams will be eliminated and 2 teams will go on to the semifinal round. Taking a look at what's going on with college sports, there was some college basketball yesterday as 3 top 10 teams would all play and win their matchups. In professional sports, starting off with the NFL, today is the first matchup of week 14 of this 18-week NFL season as we are nearing the end. Taking a look at what's going on with the arena sports, there were a lot of goals being scored, possibly the NHL performance of the year. Not to mention in the NBA, there were some big matchups there as well. Not to mention a Utah Jazz unlikely hero would go on and finish the game and win it for them. And taking a look first at what's going on in the FIFA World Cup, tomorrow's matchups will start at 10 a.m. First will be between Croatia and Brazil. Looking at where they would finish in their groups, Brazil would end up winning their group as they would win Group G, and then Croatia would finish runners-up in Group F to Morocco. In the round of 16, Croatia would beat Japan 3-1 off penalty kicks after both teams would end up scoring in regular time. Japan scored in the first half with their goal from Daizen Maeda in the 43rd minute, and Ivan Perisic would score in the 55th minute to score Croatia's lone goal. And then, of course, in the penalty rounds, it would come down to Croatia beating Japan, as that would be how they got there. Brazil would go on and win their group as they would win Group G. They had the same amount of points as Switzerland. Once they would make it to the round of 16, they would beat South Korea 4-1. All 4 of their goals would come in the first half from Vinicius Jr., Neymar, Richarlison, and Lucas Paqueta. So, of course, the winner of this matchup will be the first team to go on to the semifinal. At 2 o'clock tomorrow, at least Eastern Standard Time in the United States, the Netherlands are going to face off against Argentina. The Netherlands would end up winning Group A over Senegal, and in the round of 16, they would dispose of the United States 3-1. They would score the first 2 goals in the first half, with goals from Memphis Depay and Daley Blind, off of assists from Denzel Dumfries. Haji Wright would score the U.S.'s lone goal before Denzel Dumfries would make it 3-1, literally 5 minutes later in the 81st minute. So that is how the Netherlands would make it through. Looking at how Argentina would make it through to this round, they would go on and win their group, which was Group C. They would finish with 2 wins and a loss after they lost to Saudi Arabia and had to win the other 2 games to win their group in the first place. In the round of 16, they would beat Australia, 2-1. The lone first half goal will come from their goated forward, Lionel Messi. Julian Alvarez would score in the 57th minute to give them their second, and Australia's lone goal came off of an Argentinian own goal. However, Argentina would make it through with a 1-goal advantage, and the winner of this matchup will face off against the winner of Croatia and Brazil in the semifinal round. And that matchup, I imagine, will take place on Tuesday, December 13th. So, of course, that's what's going on with the World Cup, and I will say the same thing tomorrow. Taking a look at what's going on with college sports, taking a look at what's going on with college basketball, the highest ranked college basketball team that played would be the 4th ranked Purdue Boilermakers. They would host the unranked Hofstra Pride. Purdue would remain undefeated after beating Hofstra 85-66. They won this game by 19 after outscoring Hofstra by 20 in the first half. On the winning end of this game, the 4th-ranked Boilermakers were led in scoring by their starting center out of Canada, Zach Edey. Their 7'4" junior out of Toronto would finish with 23 points and 18 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field. And with this win, the fourth-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are holding on to a 9-0 record as they are 5-0 to start their home season. With this loss, unranked Hofstra is 6-4 in their first 10 games this year. Looking at the fifth-ranked team of the nation, the UConn Huskies would face off against unranked Florida at Florida, and they would beat the Gators 75-54. They won this game by 21 on the road after outscoring the Gators by 13 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Huskies were led in scoring by their starting forward out of Mali. Their junior Adama Sonogo would finish with 17 points, as well as 7 rebounds in 20 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 13 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. With this win, the fifth-ranked UConn Huskies remain undefeated in this league at 10-0, and with this loss, unranked Florida is 6-4 this season. Taking a look now at the seventh-ranked team of the nation, the Tennessee Volunteers would host the unranked Eastern Kentucky Colonels. Tennessee would end up winning this game at home by 35 points. They won it 84-49 after they outscored the Colonels by 11 in the first half and then by 24 in the second half, nearly doubling their output. On the winning end of this matchup, the seventh-ranked Volunteers were led in scoring by their starting guard Tyreek Key. Their senior from Salina, Tennessee, would finish with 17 points. He would finish by playing 28 minutes in this game. He would shoot 4 for 10 from the field as he made all 7 of his free throws on the night. With this win, the 7th-ranked Tennessee Volunteers are 8-1, and with this loss, unranked Eastern Kentucky is 4-5. And last but not least, looking at the 14th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers, they would end up picking up their first Big Ten win of the year after beating unranked Nebraska 81-65 in Bloomington. Indiana won this game by 16 after outscoring the Cornhuskers by 13 in the first half. On the winning end of this matchup, the 14th-ranked Hoosiers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Trey Galloway. Their junior out of Culver, Indiana, would finish with 20 points. He would do all this in 27 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Indiana's starting forward, Trace Jackson Davis, would finish with 12 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes. He would shoot 4 for 6 from the field to get his triple-double as he shot 4 for 5 from the free throw line. And with this win, the 14th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers are holding on to an 8-1 record. As of right now, their 1-1 record in the Big Ten currently ties them with Maryland and Michigan State for the 5th best record in the conference. With this loss, unranked Nebraska is 6-4. They are now 0-1 in the Big Ten, tied with Illinois, Penn State, and Minnesota for the worst record in the conference overall. Taking a look at what's going on with college basketball today, there's only 2 matchups that will include ranked teams. At 7 o'clock on ESPN2, the 25th ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are going to play their first Big Ten game of the season as they host unranked Rutgers. Rutgers is 1-0 in the Big Ten. At 8 o'clock on FS1, 20th ranked Iowa State is going to face off against unranked Iowa. Iowa State they're going into this matchup with a 7-1 record, and Iowa is just 6-2. So this looks to be a pretty interesting matchup going in. So that's what's going on with college sports. Jumping to the professional level, starting off with the NFL. Week 14 begins today as the defending Super Bowl champs LA Rams are set to host the Las Vegas Raiders. The Los Angeles Rams enter this matchup on Prime Video with a 3-9 record, the second worst record in the NFC. They currently have 4 less wins than the Seahawks that are holding on to the 7th seed right now, as the Rams currently have 5 more games left in their schedule. They could possibly see themselves eliminated from playoff contention today, as they are currently holding on to a 6-game losing streak. The Las Vegas Raiders are going into this matchup with a 5-7 record. As of right now, the Las Vegas Raiders are currently holding 2 less wins than the New York Jets, who are holding on to the 7th seed in the AFC. They're out of the playoff picture as well, but they have more of a fighting chance than the Rams do. But both of these teams absolutely have to win if they hope to make the playoffs. Taking a look at what's going on with the arena sports, starting off with the NHL. In Columbus, the Blue Jackets would host the Buffalo Sabres in what would be a goal fest. The Buffalo Sabres would end up beating the Columbus Blue Jackets 9-4, as 5 of their goals would come from their right winger, Tage Thompson. And Buffalo would score the first 6 goals of the game in the first period. I'm not kidding. So Tage Thompson, Buffalo's right winger from Phoenix, Arizona, would be the top star of the game and possibly might have the performance of the year so far. He had 5 goals and an assist. Buffalo's right winger, Alex Tuch out of Syracuse, New York, would finish with a goal and 3 assists himself. Buffalo's defender Rasmus Dahlin would finish with a goal and 2 assists for himself. As with this win, the Buffalo Sabres are holding on to a 12-13-1 NHL record. As of right now, Buffalo's 25 points in 26 minutes is the second worst standing in the Atlantic Division. They are sitting 18 points behind the division-leading Boston Bruins. They've won their last 2 games, and they've now won 5 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Columbus Blue Jackets are holding on to an 8-15-2 record. Their 18 points through 25 games is the worst standing in the Eastern Conference in the NHL right now. Only the Anaheim Ducks have a worse record than them in the entire league. The Blue Jackets are sitting 25 points behind the New Jersey Devils, who lead their division currently. The Blue Jackets are on a 3-game losing streak. Their 3-game losing streak is the longest active losing streak in the Eastern Conference right now. The Arizona Coyotes and the San Jose Sharks are the 2 NHL teams with longer active losing streaks than Columbus. The Blue Jackets have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date with this one. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the Flyers would host the Washington Capitals. The Capitals would beat the Flyers 4-1 after scoring 3 goals in the third after the Flyers scored the first goal of this game. The Capitals would take the outright lead halfway through the third off of Dylan Strom's 6th goal of the season. Alex Ovechkin would then score 2 empty net goals to jump up to 15 goals this season. The top star would go to Washington's center, Dylan Strome, out of Canada. He would finish with a goal and an assist. The second star would go to Washington's goalie, Charlie Lindgren. Their goalie out of Minnesota would just allow 1 goal on the day as he had 29 saves. With this road win in Philadelphia, the Capitals are holding on to a 12-12-4 record. Their 28 points through 28 games is the 3rd worst standing in the Metropolitan Division. They are sitting 15 points behind the division-leading New Jersey Devils. As of right now, they are holding on to a 2-game winning streak as they've won 5 of their last 10 games. And with this loss, the Philadelphia Flyers are 9-13-5. Their 23 points in 27 games is the 2nd worst record in the Metropolitan Division. The Flyers currently sit 20 points behind the division-leading Devils, and they've lost 8 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Calgary, the Flames would host the Minnesota Wild. The Flames would pick up a win at home as they jump back up to 500 with this win. They would win it 5-3 after Minnesota would score the first 2 goals in this game. They would tie it up again in the third after Calgary scored 3 straight. Calgary would take the outright lead with about 5 minutes left in the third, like 12 seconds after Minnesota tied it up, off Rasmus Andersson's 4th goal of the season. Rasmus Andersson, Calgary's defender out of Sweden, would be the player who would pick up the very first star in this game. He would finish with a goal and 2 assists. Calgary center Blake Coleman would finish with a goal and an assist himself. Mason Shaw, Minnesota's center, would finish with a goal and an assist as he had the 3rd star of this game. With this win, the Calgary Flames are holding on to an NHL record of 13-10-3. Their 29 points through 26 games is the fourth worst standing in the Pacific Division. They are sitting 10 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. They're on a 3-game winning streak as they have now won 6 of their last 10 games to date. As of right now, they are currently tied with the Vancouver Canucks and the Nashville Predators for the longest active winning streak in the Western Conference. They are tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins as well for the longest active winning streak in the NHL at 3. The Flames have won 6 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Minnesota Wild are 13-10-2. Their 28 points through 25 games is the third best record in the Central Division. They sit 5 points behind the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars at the top. Right now, the Wild have lost 4 of their last 10 games to date. Taking a look at what would happen in Denver, the defending Stanley Cup champs, Colorado Avalanche, would host the Boston Bruins, who held the best record in the Atlantic Division coming in. The Bruins would shut the Avalanche out in Colorado 4-0. They would score 2 goals in the second and third periods. The top star in this matchup would go to Boston center out of Weymouth, Massachusetts, Charlie Coyle. He finished with 2 assists. Boston's goalie Linus Ullmark, their goalie out of Sweden, would be the second star of the game. He allowed no goals from the defending champs as he had 23 saves. The third star would be Boston's left winger out of Calgary, Canada, Taylor Hall. He would finish with 2 goals and an assist. With this road shutout win against the defending champs, the Boston Bruins are holding on to a 21-3-1 record. Their 43 points in 25 games is the best record in the Atlantic Division outright. They sit 5 points ahead of the second-place Toronto Maple Leafs. They are tied with the Metropolitan Division leading New Jersey Devils for the best record in the NHL with 43 points, as they both sit 4 points ahead of the Western Conference leading Vegas Golden Knights, meaning that they are tied for the best record in the NHL. The Bruins have won 8 of their last 10 games to date, and with this loss, the Colorado Avalanche are 13-10-1. The defending champs are holding on to 27 points in 24 games. They have the 4th best record in the Central Division. They are sitting 6 points behind the 2-way tie at the top between the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. The Avalanche are on a 3-game losing streak. As of right now, the San Jose Sharks and the Arizona Coyotes are the 2 teams in the West with 2 longer active losing streaks than the defending champs. The Avalanche have lost 5 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Edmonton, the Oilers would host the Arizona Coyotes. The Oilers would end up beating the Coyotes 8-2 at home. The team would score a trio of goals in both the second and third periods as Arizona was unable to take the lead at all. The top star in this game would be Edmonton center out of Richmond Hill, Ontario, Connor McDavid. He would finish with 2 goals and 2 assists. As with his 2 goals, he's holding on to 24 goals this season. Edmonton center Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would finish with 2 goals and an assist. As with his 2 goals, he's sitting on 13 this season. Edmonton center Derek Ryan would pick up the 3rd star of the game as he had a goal and an assist. With this 6-point home win, the Edmonton Oilers are holding on to a 15-12-0 record. As of right now, their 30 points in 27 games is the 4th best record in the Pacific Division. They are sitting 9 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. The Oilers have won 6 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Arizona Coyotes are 7-13-4. Their 18 points through 24 games is tied with the Chicago Blackhawks for the worst record in the Central Division, as only the Anaheim Ducks have a worse record than them out west. With this loss, the Coyotes are sitting 15 points behind the division-leading Winnipeg Jets and Dallas Stars. The Coyotes are holding on to a 6-game losing streak. That is the longest losing streak in the entire NHL. And, of course, or taking a look at what's going on with the Pacific leaders, the Vegas Golden Knights would host the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers would end up beating the Vegas Golden Knights by 4 in Las Vegas. Like I said, it would be 5-1. After the score was tied at 1 in the second period by Jonathan Marchessault of Vegas, the New York Rangers would score 4 unanswered goals in the third period, as they would take the outright lead off of Mika Zibanejad's 14th goal of the season and his first of 2 goals in the game. Mika Zibanejad, New York's center from Sweden, would be the top star of the game, as he had an assist to go along with his 2 goals. New York's left winger Artemi Panarin would finish with 3 assists. New York's defender Adam Fox would finish with 2 assists himself. With this 4-point road win against the best team in the West, the New York Rangers are holding on to a 13-10-5 record. Their 31 points in 28 games is the 4th worst record in the Metropolitan Division. They've won their last 2 games and they've won 5 of their last 10. They are currently sitting 12 points behind the division-leading New Jersey Devils. And of course, with this loss, the Vegas Golden Knights are holding on to a 19-8-1 record. Their 39 points in 28 games is the best record in the Western Conference, as they still sit behind the New Jersey Devils and Boston Bruins in the NHL as a whole. As of right now, they are still sitting 6 points ahead of the second-place Seattle Kraken in the Pacific Division. And with this loss, they've lost 5 of their last 10 games to date. Last but not least, jumping out to San Jose, the Sharks would host the Vancouver Canucks from a little bit more north. The Canucks would beat the Sharks in overtime 6-5, after it was the Canucks that forced the overtime with Andrei Kuzmenko's 13th goal of the season off of a power play with 4 minutes left. The game-winning goal would come from Elias Pettersson with about 30 seconds left. Elias Pettersson, Vancouver's center out of Sweden, would be the top star of the game, as he had a goal and an assist. San Jose's center, Logan Couture, would finish with a goal and an assist, as he had the second star of the game. With this overtime win and 2 points, the Vancouver Canucks are holding on to a 12-12-3 record. Their 27 points in 27 games is the 3rd worst record in the Pacific Division. They are sitting 12 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. And with this win, they're on a 3-game winning streak, as they've won 7 of their last 10 games so far. They are tied with the Nashville Predators and the Calgary Flames for the longest active winning streak in the West. They are also tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins for the longest active winning streak in the entire NHL. And then with this overtime loss, still picking up 1 point, the San Jose Sharks are holding on to a 8-16-5 record. Their 21 points in 29 games is the 2nd worst record in the Pacific Division. They are currently sitting 18 points behind the division-leading Vegas Golden Knights. They are currently holding on to a 4-game losing streak. Only the Arizona Coyotes have a longer active losing streak in the West. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games, as 2 of those losses would come in overtime. So that is where the NHL is sitting as of today. And looking at what's going on today, the primetime games will not be in the NHL, but starting at 7 o'clock, the defending back-to-back Eastern Conference champs, the Tampa Bay Lightning, are set to host the Nashville Predators. At 7 o'clock, the Toronto Maple Leafs are set to host the LA Kings, as the Maple Leafs are holding on to the 2nd-best record in the Atlantic Division. At 7:30, the Florida Panthers are going to host the Detroit Red Wings. At 8 o'clock, the St. Louis Blues are set to host the Winnipeg Jets, who are tied with the Dallas Stars for the best record in the Central. Speaking of the Stars are going to start at 8:30 as they host the Ottawa Senators. We could see the Central Division get shaken up a little bit, or we can see the same 2 teams at the very top of the division. Now taking a look at what's going on in the NBA, starting off with what's going on in Orlando, the Magic would host the Los Angeles Clippers. In a game that would go to overtime, the Magic would beat the Clippers 116-111. They won this game after outscoring the Clippers in fourth quarter to force overtime, and they would outscore the Clippers 17-12 in the overtime period to pick up their sixth win in their first 26 games. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting LA Clippers were led in scoring by their shooting guard Terrence Mann. Their guard out of Florida State would finish with 19 points, 9 rebounds as well in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3 as he made both of his free throws on the day. LA's goated starting small forward Kawhi Leonard would finish with 14 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists in 30 minutes. He shot 4 for 15 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3 as he made all 4 of his free throws. LA's starting center Ivica Zubac finished with 16 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks as well as he fouled out in 37 minutes. Zubac shot 6 for 9 from the field. The Clippers' elite starting shooting guard Paul George finished with 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 3 for 12 from the field. He would go on and shoot 2 for 6 from 3. He would make all 3 of his free throw attempts. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Orlando Magic were led in scoring by their starting power forward and number 1 overall pick, Paolo Banchero. Banchero finished with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 5 for 13 from the field and 3 for 14. He shot 13 for 14 from the free throw line. Orlando's starting center, Mo Wagner, finished with 20 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 steals while starting alongside his brother. In the 36 minutes he played, he would shoot 7 for 13 from the field, and he would make all 5 of his free throws. Their other starting center out of Oregon, Bol Bol, would finish with 20 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 34 minutes. Bol Bol shot 9 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. He would make his only free throw attempt on the day. With this win, the Orlando Magic are holding on to a 6-20 record. Even with this win, they're holding on to the worst record in the Eastern Conference, and they are holding on to the worst record in the NBA as a whole, as they have the most losses in the NBA, tied with the Pistons. As of right now, the Magic are sitting 15 full games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. However, the Magic have won only 1 of their last 10 games so far. With this loss, the LA Clippers are 14-12. As of right now, they're holding on to the 9th best record in the West. They sit 3 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. The Clippers have lost 5 of their last 10 games so far. Taking a look at what went down in Brooklyn, the Nets would host the Charlotte Hornets, and the Nets would end up beating the Hornets by 6 at home. They won it 122-116 after they would outscore the Hornets by 10 in the first quarter and then by 8 in the second. They were up by 18 at the half. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard Terry Rozier. He had 29 points and 5 assists in 40 minutes. He shot 13 for 24 from the field and 3 for 6 from 3. Charlotte's starting shooting guard Kelly Oubre Jr. would finish with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 steals, all in 41 minutes. He shot 11 for 20 from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. Charlotte's starting center, Mason Plumlee, would finish with 13 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 5 for 8 from the field. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Brooklyn Nets would be led in scoring by their elite starting point guard Kyrie Irving. Their former number 1 overall pick out of Duke would finish with 33 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, as well as 4 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 14 for 24 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, as he would make all 4 of his free throw attempts on the day. The Nets' goated starting power forward and former 2-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant would finish with 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 12 for 19 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3. He would make all 3 of his free throw attempts on the day. Off the bench, the Nets shooting guard out of Duke, Seth Curry, would finish with 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 28 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3. He would make his only free throw attempt on the day. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are holding on to a 14-12 record. They are holding on to the fourth best record in the Eastern Conference as they sit 7 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. They have now won 7 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Charlotte Hornets are holding on to a 7-18 record. They're holding on to the third worst record in the Eastern Conference as they sit 13.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. The Hornets have lost their last 3 games to date. Only the Washington Wizards have a longer active losing streak in the East. The Hornets have lost 7 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to New York, the Knicks would host the Atlanta Hawks. New York would end up beating Atlanta 113-89 at home. They would win this particular matchup by 24 after they would outscore the Hawks by 11 in the first quarter and then by 10 in the third. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Hawks were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard Trae Young. He finished with 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists in 30 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 20 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. Atlanta starting center Clint Capella would finish with 13 points and 11 rebounds in 22 minutes. Capella shot 6 for 7 from the field and 1 for 2 from the free throw line. And on the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New York Knicks were led in scoring by their starting power forward, Julius Randle. Randle finished with 34 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 assists in 33 minutes. He shot 10 for 19 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3. He would make all 8 of his free throw attempts on the day. The Knicks starting shooting guard Quentin Grimes finished with 23 points and 2 blocks as he nearly fouled out in 31 minutes. Grimes would shoot 8 for 11 from the field, 5 for 7 from 3. He would make both of his free throw attempts on the day. And with this win, the New York Knicks are 12-13. They're holding on to the 9th best record in the Eastern Conference. They sit 8.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. As of right now, the Knicks are on a 2-game winning streak as they've won 4 of their last 10 games so far. With this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are 13-12. With an inverse record, they are tied with the Indiana Pacers and the Toronto Raptors for the 5th best record in the East. The Hawks currently sit 7.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. The Hawks are on a 2-game losing streak as they've now lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Toronto, the Toronto Raptors would host the LA Lakers. The Raptors would end up beating the Lakers with Drake in attendance 126-113. They would win this game by 13 points after they would outscore the Lakers by 8 in the first quarter and then by 15 in the second quarter. They were up by 23 points at the half. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Lakers were led in scoring by their starting point guard from Germany, Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder would finish with 18 points and 5 rebounds in 28 minutes. He shot 5 for 10 from the field as he made all 7 of his free throws. The Lakers' goated point guard off the bench, Russell Westbrook, finished with 16 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 5 turnovers in 28 minutes. He shot 5 for 13 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the free throw line. LA's center off the bench, Damian Jones, had 10 points and 10 rebounds in 25 minutes. He would shoot 4 for 5 from the field, and he would make both of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Toronto Raptors were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard and their starting power forward, Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam, each at 25 points. Siakam would finish with 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 32 minutes. Siakam shot 10 for 20 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Fred VanVleet finished with 25 points, 7 assists as well in 30 minutes. Fred VanVleet would shoot 8 for 20 from the field, and he would make all 6 of his free throws. Toronto's starting small forward, OG Anunoby, would finish with 23 points and 6 rebounds in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, and he would make 5 of his 6 free throws. And their starting small forward, the reigning Rookie of the Year, Scotty Barnes, out of Florida State, would finish with 13 points and 17 rebounds in 31 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field and 1 for 2 from 3. With this win, the Toronto Raptors are now 13-12. They are tied with the Indiana Pacers and the Atlanta Hawks for the 5th best record in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors are sitting 7.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics, and they've now won 5 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the Los Angeles Lakers are 10-14. That is the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference, as they are currently sitting 6 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. The Lakers are on a 2-game losing streak, and they've lost 4 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Chicago, the Bulls would host the Washington Wizards. The Chicago Bulls would beat the Washington Wizards by 4 at home. They won it 115-111. They would outscore the Wizards by 5 in the 4th quarter to overcome their 1-point deficit and win the game. And on the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Wizards were led in scoring by their Latvian starting center, Kristaps Porzingis. Porzingis had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, and 5 turnovers in 35 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 17 from the field, as he would make 12 of his 16 free throws as well. Washington starting small forward Kyle Kuzma had 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their starting small forward out of USC and perennial all-star DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan finished with 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. He shot 11 for 21 from the field and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. Chicago starting center Nikola Vucevic finished with 25 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 10 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line. The Bulls starting shooting guard out of UCLA, Zach LaVine, finished with 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. He would make all 4 of his free throw attempts on the day. With this win, the Chicago Bulls are 10-14. That is the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference. They are sitting 10 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. They've won 4 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Washington Wizards are holding on to an 11-14 record. They are tied with the Miami Heat for the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference. They are sitting 9.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. They are on a 4-game losing streak. As of right now, the Wizards are holding on to the longest active losing streak in the East. Only the San Antonio Spurs are holding on to a longer active losing streak in the NBA than the Wizards. Alongside their 4-game losing streak, the Wizards have lost 7 of their last 10 games so far. Jumping out to Memphis, the Grizzlies would host the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Grizzlies would beat the Thunder 123-102. They won this game by 21 at home after they would outscore the Thunder they would outscore them in the first 3 quarters, and then they would outscore the Thunder by 14 in the 4th, nearly doubling their output. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Kentucky, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, at 26 points and 7 assists, as well as 5 turnovers in 34 minutes. He would shoot 4 for 14 from the field and 17 for 19 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard out of Australia, Josh Giddey, would finish with 10 points and 10 rebounds in 27 minutes. He shot 4 for 13 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Memphis Grizzlies were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Murray State, Ja Morant. He had 26 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 16 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3, and 8 for 10 from the free throw line. The Grizzlies starting small forward, Dillon Brooks, had 24 points in 30 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 5 for 12 from 3, and he would make his own only free throw attempt on the night. With this win, the Memphis Grizzlies are 16-9. They are tied with the Phoenix Suns for the second best record in the West. They currently sit half a game behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. They're on a 4-game winning streak, as only the Pelicans have a longer active winning streak than them in the West. The Grizzlies have won 7 of their last 10 games to date, as they are one of 6 teams in the NBA that are remaining with just a single-digit amount of losses. With this loss, the OKC Thunder are 11-14. They are holding on to the 4th worst record in the West. They are sitting 5.5 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Moving on to Milwaukee, out on Lake Michigan, the Milwaukee Bucks would host the Sacramento Kings. The Bucks would beat the Kings 126-113 at home. They won this game by 13 after they would outscore the Kings by 10 in the 4th quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Kings would be led in scoring by their starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis. The former All-Star would finish with 23 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 11 from the field. He would make his only three-pointer. He would shoot 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Their starting small forward out of UNC, Harrison Barnes, had 20 points in 33 minutes. He would go on and shoot 6 for 11 from the field and 6 for 7 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Milwaukee Bucks would be led in scoring by their elite starting power forward and future Hall of Famer Giannis Antetokounmpo. He would finish with 35 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 33 minutes. He would shoot 12 for 19 from the field. He would make both of his three-point attempts. He would shoot 9 for 10 from the free throw line. Milwaukee's starting point guard, Jrue Holiday, would finish with 31 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes. He would shoot 12 for 23 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the free throw line. And with this win, the Milwaukee Bucks are 18-6. They're holding on to the second best record in the East, as they have a better record than every team in the Western Conference as well. They sit 2 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics for the time being. They are on a 3-game winning streak, as they have now won 7 of their last 10 games. They are currently tied with the Boston Celtics for the longest active winning streak in the East. The New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies are the 2 teams in the NBA with longer active winning streaks than the Bucks. I don't know if I said this, but the Bucks have won 7 of their last 10. And with this loss, the Sacramento Kings are holding on to a 13-10 record. That is the 5th best record in the Western Conference. They are sitting 2.5 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves would host the Indiana Pacers. The Timberwolves would beat the Pacers 121-115. They would win this game by 6 after they had to outscore the Pacers by 6 in the 4th quarter to overcome their tie at the end of 3. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Pacers would be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Buddy Hield, as well as their starting point guard, Tyrese Halliburton. Buddy Hield would finish with 26 points in 37 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 7 for 11 from 3, as he made his only free throw attempt on the day. Indiana's starting point guard, Tyrese Halliburton, had 26 points, as well as 15 assists and 3 steals in 36 minutes. He shot 9 for 14 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3. He would make all 3 of his free throw attempts on the day. Their starting center, Miles Turner, would finish with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 11 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Minnesota Timberwolves would be led in scoring by their starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell. Their starting point guard out of Ohio State would finish with 28 points in 28 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3. He would make all 6 of his free throw attempts. Minnesota's elite starting shooting guard out of Georgia, Anthony Edwards, would finish with 26 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 steals, and 6 turnovers in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 18 from the field as he made 9 of his 10 free throws. Minnesota's elite starting French center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 16 points, 21 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 6 for 12 from the field and 4 for 5 from the free throw line. Minnesota, with this win, is holding on to a 12-12 record. Sitting at 500, they are holding on to the 5th worst record in the Western Conference for the time being. They are sitting 4 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans, as they have now won 6 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Indiana Pacers are 13-12. They are tied with the Atlanta Hawks and the Toronto Raptors for the 5th best record in the East. They are sitting 7.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics. With this loss, the Indiana Pacers have lost 6 of their last 10 games to date, as they sit just 1 game over 500. Jumping out to New Orleans, the Pelicans would host the Detroit Pistons. The Pelicans would beat the Pistons 104-98, and with this loss, the Pistons would be the second team to 20 losses this year, as the Pelicans would jump up to the top seed in the Western Conference with this win temporarily. With this 6-point win at home, they would go on and outscore the Pistons by 14 points in the second quarter to take full advantage. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting Pistons were led in scoring by their small forward off the bench, Saddiq Bey. Their forward out of Villanova would finish with 25 points in 24 minutes. He would shoot 9 for 17 from the field. He would shoot 5 for 10 from 3, and he would make both of his free throws. Detroit's starting point guard, Killian Hayes, had 17 points, 6 rebounds, 12 assists, and 2 steals as well in 32 minutes. He would shoot 8 for 17 from the field. And then, of course, on the bench, Detroit's center Jalen Duren finished with 12 points in 13 rebounds in 27 minutes. Sorry if I butchered the name. He would make all 5 of his shots on the day as he made both of his free throws. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown New Orleans Pelicans would be led in scoring by their elite starting power forward out of Duke and former number 1 overall pick, Zion Williamson. He would finish with 29 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in 33 minutes. He would shoot 11 for 16 from the field and 7 for 11 from the free throw line. Their starting shooting guard in this matchup, Trey Murphy III, had 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in 35 minutes. He shot 6 for 13 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3. He would make all 4 of his free throw attempts on the night. With this win, the New Orleans Pelicans are holding on to a 16-8 record. They're holding on to the best record in the West win percentage-wise. They still sit behind the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks in terms of regular season records. However, in the West, they sit half a game ahead of the Phoenix Suns and the Memphis Grizzlies, who are tied for second place. The Pelicans are holding on to a 5-game winning streak, the longest active winning streak in the NBA. They've won 8 of their last 10 games to date. And with this loss, the Detroit Pistons are 7-20. That is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference, as only the Orlando Magic have a worse record than them out east. The Pistons are sitting 14.5 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Boston Celtics, and they've lost 6 of their last 10 games to date. Jumping out to Salt Lake City, the Utah Jazz would host the defending champs Golden State Warriors, and the Utah Jazz would end up beating the Golden State Warriors with a last-second dunk from Simone Fontecchio. Sorry if I completely butchered the name, but they would win this game after they would outscore the Warriors by 12 in the third quarter. On the losing end of this matchup, the visiting defending champs, Golden State Warriors, would be led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of Michigan, Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole would finish with 36 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 6 turnovers in 37 minutes. Poole would shoot 10 for 23 from the field, 4 for 13 from 3, and he would shoot 12 for 13 from the free throw line. Like I said, 36 points. Great game for Jordan Poole. Off the bench, bench, Golden State's power forward, Jonathan Kuminga, would finish with 24 points and 5 rebounds in 30 minutes. He shot 10 for 13 from the field and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. The Golden State Warriors' elite starting shooting guard and four-time champion Klay Thompson would finish with 22 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks in 36 minutes. He shot 8 for 25 from the field, 4 for 11 from 3. He would make both of his free throw attempts as well. On the winning end of this matchup, the hometown Utah Jazz were led in scoring by their starting point guard Jordan Clarkson. The former Sixth Man of the Year would finish with 22 points and 9 assists in 37 minutes. He shot 9 for 20 from the field as he made both of his free throw attempts. Utah's starting center, Walker Kessler, would finish with 10 points, 12 rebounds, and 5 blocks in 24 minutes. He would go on and shoot 5 for 6 from the field. And then, of course, their late game hero, Simone Fontecchio, would finish with 18 points in 20 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 3 for 5 from the free throw line. With this win, the Utah Jazz are holding on to a 15-12 record. They are holding on to the 6th best record in the Western Conference. They sit 2.5 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. The Jazz have won 4 of their last 10 games to date. With this loss, the defending champs, Golden State Warriors, are 13-13, sitting at 500. They're holding on to the 10th best record in the West as they sit 4 games behind the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. The Warriors are on a 2-game losing streak as they've now lost 4 of their last 10. They're 2-11 on the road as they are currently 11-2 at home. That's currently the story of the Warriors' first 26 games this season, it looks like. Taking a look now at what is going on in Phoenix, the Suns, the team with the best record out west going in, would host the Boston Celtics, the team with the best record in the East coming in. The Celtics would beat the Suns 125-98 to show why they have the best record in the NBA. They would win by 27 on the road after they outscored the Suns by 10 in the first quarter. They outscored the Suns by 17 in the second quarter, so they were up by 27 at the half. They would outscore the Suns by an additional 12 points in the third quarter. They were up by 39 at the end of the third quarter, essentially. On the losing end of this matchup, the hometown Phoenix Suns would be led in scoring by their small forward off the bench, Josh Okogie. Okogie had 28 points and 7 rebounds in 23 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and he would shoot 8 for 10 from the foul line. In their starting lineup, their elite starting shooting guard, Devin Booker, would finish with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 fouls in 25 minutes. He would shoot 6 for 17 from the field. He would shoot 1 for 6 from 3. He would make all 4 of his free throws. Phoenix's future Hall of Fame point guard, Chris Paul, would finish with 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in 24 minutes. He would shoot 2 for 6 from the field in his game back. On the winning end of this matchup, the visiting Boston Celtics would be led in scoring by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum, the Celtics' elite starting small forward out of Duke, would finish with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 29 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. Boston's starting shooting guard out of Cal, Jaylen Brown, had 25 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals in 28 minutes. He shot 9 for 24 from the field. He would make all 5 of his free throw attempts. With this win, the Boston Celtics are holding on to a 21-5 record. They are the only team in the NBA who has won at least 20 games at this point in the season. In the Eastern Conference, they sit 2 games ahead of the second-place Milwaukee Bucks, as they currently now have 5 more wins than the Western Conference leading New Orleans Pelicans. The Celtics are on a 3-game winning streak. They are tied with the Bucks for the longest active winning streak in the Eastern Conference. In the West, only the Pelicans and the Grizzlies have longer active winning streaks than the Celtics. The Celtics have won 8 of their last 10 games to date, and on the losing end of this matchup, the Phoenix Suns are 16-9. They are tied with the Memphis Grizzlies for the second best record in the West, as they now sit half a game behind the new Western Conference leaders, the New Orleans Pelicans. The Suns are on a 2-game losing streak, as they've now lost only 3 of their last 10 games, and that brings us to where we currently are in the NBA. Today is Thursday, meaning that the primetime games are going to be on NBA TV today. At 7:30, the 11-4 Miami Heat, who are currently holding on to the 10th best record in the East, are going to host the 14-12 LA Clippers, who are holding on to the 9th best record in the West, sitting 3 games behind the Pelicans, who are sitting on top of the West. Following that, at 10 o'clock on NBA TV, the 13-11 Portland Trailblazers, who hold the 8th or were tied for the 7th best record in the West, are set to host the 14-10 Denver Nuggets, who are holding on to the 4th best record in the West. Right now, only a game separates these two teams, as of course this will be an interesting matchup going forward. The only game that won't be on primetime will be at 8:30, as the two worst teams in the West, who coincidentally play in Texas, are going to face off against one another, as the 6-18 San Antonio Spurs, who are holding on to an 11-game losing streak, are set to host the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are looking to either extend the Spurs' losing streak, or they may be the team that may see that 11-game losing streak come to an end. With that said, that's all that I have for you today for Thursday, December 8th. Once again, I am James Sims. This is The Elite. I apologize for all the names that I butchered, and I do want to thank the ESPN, the FIFA, the NCAA, the NFL, NHL, and NBA sites for giving me all the facts and figures that I need. And with that said, I will follow this up with a couple more episodes, but until I drop those, I will keep doing my best to make this show better and better. But with that said, thanks for listening. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you with more tomorrow. Peace out.